Ohayou gozaimasu.
Welcome to Japan.
Well, you welcome to Japan. I was here first.
You were here first?
I was here like 5 whole days before you.
You're going to be here the better part of a month.
No, 2 weeks. A solid 2 weeks.
But you were here from like the 5th?
Mm-hmm. Landed on the 5th.
Uh-huh.
And we don't leave until the 19th.
Yeah, so...
That's a solid 2 weeks.
Okay.
That's how numbers work.
Yeah, but that's still the better part of a month. If a month is 3 weeks.
A month is like 4 weeks.
Okay. You've been here since the 5th.
I have.
I instead got here on the
13th.
13th
Is when you landed.
That still throws me off.
Mm-hmm.
It's a 12-hour flight, winners. Or I'm sorry, it's a 14-hour flight.
Mm-hmm.
Where you go
forward in time.
You go back in time until you go forward in time.
Yeah, you cross the
international date line, which is still one of those like mind-boggling. Like,
yeah.
And on the plane, so I flew out on the 12th. I landed on the 13th here
mm-hmm.
in Tokyo in Haneda Airport. I did sleep. I flipped my schedule because work allowed that.
It's rough. It's a 13-hour time difference right now from the East Coast to Tokyo. So it messes everything up. Yeah, you and I both had worked on like switching our schedules so it wouldn't wreck us mm-hmm. so completely, and we'd be able to like finish adjusting or easier, just like not waste time. And I know I was here first for work, and a lot of my coworkers were still waking up at like 2 a.m, and just like, what do I do now? Meetings don't start until 8:30, 9 o'clock. And I know since you only had 6 days that you wanted to like capitalize on the time here, so switching the schedule for you was like extra beneficial.
Yeah, all the winners got a lot of like really late night. Hey, it's 2 o'clock in the morning, which means it's 3 o'clock in the afternoon, so we're gonna stream.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you guys, all of you who tuned in. Thank you, Adrian, for being on the West Coast and streaming, so that way I had something to watch and mm-hmm. keeping me occupied. So I really greatly appreciate your late night streams.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so I flew out from the Washington airport,
Dulles,
and flew over to Haneda.
Mm-hmm.
Customs was a breeze. I don't bring anything though, so the flight was pleasant. Had a decent meal. The first batch, second batch wasn't that great, but that's neither here nor there.
You're talking about airport food?
No, on the airplane.
Okay,
the first one I got like the noodles and the second one was like Texas style barbecue, and I was like, what? We're closer to Japan.
We're accommodating all types.
We are. So yeah, did that. Got over Japan. You were.
I greeted you at the airport.
Incredibly kind in greeting me at the airport.
We had that Wednesday. Things were going very well. The information that was being presented was being received well. The questions that came up, my team and I were able to answer on the spot. So no action items really required.
Mrs. Play's work meetings were going well.
Yes, my work meetings. And my on-site lead looked at me and was like, "Isn't your husband landing in 2 hours? Go." I'm like, well, thank you. If the lead says it's okay, then it must be okay. So I ducked out of there and greeted Mr. Play at the airport. It's just nice when you're arriving somewhere for the first time to have a friendly face who kind of knows the ins and outs of navigation.
Mm-hmm.
So I was very happy to be able to greet you as opposed to here's how you get through customs. Good luck finding a taxi or figuring out the train system by yourself. See you at the hotel. So yeah, that was a wonderful gift of some extra time.
Yeah. Honestly, it has been surprising how accommodating it is for English over here.
Yeah, Japan went. They overhauled a lot of their signs for public transport in preparation for the Olympics, because they knew they were going to be hosting such an international audience.
Oh, really?
So to just make life easier for everyone.
Huh.
I mean, they were kind of like, tourism is one of a huge boon for the economy.
Yeah.
So like areas like Tokyo and Kyoto have been doing that for years. But in like particularly for like the metro areas and some of the more like rural areas, like where we are right now, we're recording in Hakone, which is a town by bullet train, only like 30 minutes. Well, 30 minutes to the train station, about another 40 minutes, particularly for us, for where we're staying, but otherwise only like another 20 minutes. All of this to say is that the more rural areas they don't have as much English on the signs as readily available, but yeah.
I noticed that when we went to, not even like saying rural areas, but when we went to Skytree yesterday, the train we got on had far less English.
Yeah, some of the older train cars. Yeah. Less
Metro,
English.
great.
Yeah. It's been and honestly, like even using like Google Maps.
Your little AR thing.
Yeah, you can use like the augmented reality of like, hey, go 200 meters, then take left. Has been super helpful, and even Google Maps telling you like, hey, walk 6 minutes. Take this train station, stand on platform 2, your train will arrive in like 3 minutes, has been extra helpful.
And it's even like, it's this train.
Yeah.
Like,
it'll tell you the train number.
It is so on top of that.
Yeah. Like once you learn the system, like, oh, this is easy peasy. Like we were navigating, not quite like locals, because having my phone out to sanity check was like my safety blanket. I needed my security blanket of reassurance and like real time updates of like, yes, you are indeed going to the right place. But yeah, very, very manageable. Absolutely loved it. And the trains are so. Oh, we're not going to spend the whole podcast talking about trains, you guys.
I like trains.
But it's clean and quiet, and everyone's so polite, and the train system like runs every, like, depending on which line, like every 2 minutes, 6 minutes, 9 minutes. Like, we never had to wait long. It was wonderful. I love the trains here.
If you're used to the subway in either the tube in London, the subway of New York, or the metro, very much so reminiscent of that here in Tokyo. Just far more efficient, far less delays, and cleaner, and so also clean. Very user friendly. The easiest way to navigate it, and this will be the last thing we say about the trains, unless we're like, and then we got on a train, was it one, as Mrs. Play said, they overhauled a lot of it for English for the upcoming Olympics, but 2, the stations are numbered. So the tracks will be right next to each other. So it'll be like track 1, track 2. Track 1 will be heading north. Track 2 will be heading south, for lack of a better way to phrase that. And it'll be like track 1 is heading from station 1 to 20. Track 2 is heading from station 20 to 1. So all you have to do is go, okay, what station am I at? I'm at 15. I need to go to 10. I need to find going down the number line. I loved that.
Yeah.
Because
pictures.
There would be times we'd be like, okay, are we on the right track? Are we on the what number are we going to? We're going to this. Okay. Oh, it's okay. We're going to. Okay, yeah. See, this one's 12. That one's 10. All right, we're on the right spot, and that was very reassuring. But yeah, then our first day here was you and I went to Shibuya. Yeah,
that first afternoon. So we did an early dinner, and had okonomiyaki. I'm pretty sure I'm close with my proper pronunciation. But it's a very tasty, savory cabbage pancake with seafood toppings. Had a gorgeous view of Tokyo skyline.
I had yakisoba.
You had yakisoba. And then from there, it was only like a 5-minute train ride to get you to Shibuya. So that way you could witness the Shibuya Scramble and have a chance to partake.
It's called the Scramble.
Yeah, Shibuya Scramble.
Don't call it Shibuya Crossing.
I mean potato. Yeah. People know.
Alliteration.
Yeah.
Which was really fun and really cool.
Yeah.
organized chaos.
It's widely considered the busiest pedestrian intersection in the world, and during busy times, up to like 3,000 people will like go across the various crosswalks in a given like. You have 20 seconds to like. Now is your time to cross, because cars also go through as well. It was packed like Times Square, but once again, cleaner. Felt more organized. You got a picture of the
109 building?
Of the 109 building and of the pupper statue.
Yes, the pupper statue. I sent that right to Nick, because Nick likes himself some puppers.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was really cool.
Mm-hmm.
The 109 building, like, for those of you who are like, well, what building are you talking about in Shibuya? It's the building that is featured in Persona, The World Ends With You, half the Shin Megami Tensei games. It's the not so critically acclaimed Bayonetta 3. But to me, it was really cool to just go up there and see, hey, this is the building that like I have seen in every anime that is in modern times. It's an astounding magenta, like wrong button color palette sign. I can't say how surreal it was to be like, oh, you were on location. It was kind of like in Iceland when we were driving to the ice cave, and it's like, hey, are you a Star Wars fan? Yeah, that spot right over there. Yeah, that's the scene where the girl hid. Don't walk on the dunes and crush the grass. But that's where the person hid in Rogue One, and that's really what it felt like. Probably more so because as much as I like Star Wars, Rogue One was much later in my life, and the 109 building was much earlier. But yeah, we went there, and then we found a Don Quixote, and I walked you through a Don Quixote.
Yeah.
What did you think of a Don Quixote?
It is an everything store. So I know it's Tokyo and everything is multiple stories, but in my mind, this was like a Dollar General. Like, I wasn't expecting it to be so large and be like 8 stories tall. I'm just from like small town city in Virginia. Like, I'm not. It was a lot.
You walk in, for those of you who have been to like any beach town, beach town in Maryland, New Jersey.
I mean, we're probably like anywhere. These are just places that we've been.
Yeah, I've never been to the West Coast, so all I can speak to is the East Coast ones. They have these pop-up stores that are like, come in here to get your last-minute beach supplies. Yeah. And you go in there, and here it'll be like rain slickers, quick hat, spare shirts, what have you. And like the beach stores would be like, here's like your beach towels, your beach hats, your sunglasses. So it was a one for that. And then the second you go upstairs, it's like, hey, do you need moisturizer and makeup? This entire area is foundation.
So skincare.
Yeah. And you're like, this is nice.
Yeah. And another floor up is just like household goods and bath towels, tea towels, handkerchiefs. Another floor was like all kitchen supplies. Everything that you would need to like outfit your kitchen. And they had like, it was very, like some of the knives were very, was it Cutco? Yeah. No, they're like cheap knives.
Yeah.
But
it was, you could definitely see like, hey, are you a young person starting out? Buy some knives here, you'll be fine.
Yeah.
You go over 2 steps though, and it's like, here are some like, maybe not top of the line, but you getting up there kind of knives.
More mid-tier kind of things. But yeah, it was very cool. A little bit overwhelming. There's like an entire wall dedicated to different sandals, and it smelled like cellophane plastic, but some of the sandals looked like croissants. So that was pretty cool.
They were like croc feeling sandals.
Yeah. There was an entire section like dedicated to luggage. Like if you were like last minute impulse trip, just go to the Don Quixote, buy everything you need, head to the airport. It was an everything store. So that was really cool. And it was something that you had talked about. Like, I'm going to drag you into one. I'm like, that Don Quixote is such a strange name, but sure.
And then we got to do it because at one point we're going upstairs, and this is after all the normal stuff, right? So as Miss played the household goods, things you need. And then we're going upstairs one more floor, and I look up, this place behind me, and I'm like, hey, it's about to get weird. She's like, I don't know what that means. I'm like, that's okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you get upstairs and it's your anime section. And at first it's fine. It's this place like, oh, that's Studio Ghibli, that's Haikyuu, like all the things that you watch around the house that are there. And then you make a left turn, and it's like, I don't. There is some stuff here on the walls.
Not safe for work.
There is some curtains that we didn't go through, but I was like, you want to go through the curtains? And Mrs. Play is like, no.
I wasn't ready for that.
There were the body pillows. There were the, mouse.
All the costumes.
All the costumes. Mm-hmm. There were the mouse pads with the boobs to rest your wrist on. Like, there was everything sitting there.
I missed that entirely.
I was very...
I'm cool with not seeing that.
But yeah, so that was the Don Quixote.
Mm-hmm.
And we went downstairs to the basement floor, which is their
grocery store.
Supermarket. Yeah, thank you. Got some stuff for friends. They had Boss Coffee there, so I got to have some Boss Coffee. And yeah, that pretty much ended our night because
you were exhausted. It was like 8 o'clock, and he's yawning, and I'm like, oh, poor baby. It was a long travel day for you.
I still trooped along there.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and so we finished up at Don Quixote, went back to the hotel, and yeah, I slept like a baby.
Mm-hmm.
I haven't been up at like 3 a.m., but I've been waking up at my normal
like 4 a.m.
5 a.m. time when I'm home. Yeah. So that's been...
It's also really... The sun rises over here at like 4:30 in the morning and sets at 7:30. Like the sun back home doesn't rise quite this early.
Yeah.
And it gets bright very fast. So that definitely, like, yeah, we have like our blackout curtains and stuff, but it's still... It gets bright. Like you just like open the curtains just a crack and like a beam of sunlight blinds you.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's supposed to be like, so it's July in Japan, and it's monsoon season still, technically. And we have not had much rain. Like, it rained a little bit when I was here still for work, but since you've been here, it's just been like...
A spritz.
Maybe. Yeah, like barely a drizzle, but mostly just like miserable heat and humidity.
Mm-hmm.
Like East Coast mid-Atlantic levels of humidity, if not a little bit greater than that. But still worth it. Like I had told all my friends and coworkers, like I know we're going to Japan in July and the temps are going to be insane. I don't care. I'm still going to be like maximizing my tourist opportunities. Yeah, so much fun. Great sleep. Saturday morning we took things pretty easy. Or at least like first starting off, we went to one of the major temples. Its name is currently escaping me. But we put on yukatas, which is like a cotton kimono, less formal than a kimono. Cotton because, it's summer, as I was just saying. And we both got dressed up and walked around and had our picture taken, and I was living my best life. I felt so pretty.
You were very pretty.
Thank you.
You are very pretty.
Thank you.
You looked extra pretty.
You looked very handsome.
Thank you very much. That was a fun thing to do.
Yeah.
By the way, guys, wooden sandals, figured out why they don't catch on.
Oh my god, it's like rough on your feet. Also, like I don't know, we have like big Westerner feet instead of like dainty little feet.
I can't fit to a pair of slippers over here.
We have big feet. By the compared for like the normal average Japanese individual. But yeah, had our picture taken. Our photographer's name was Luke. He's from Ireland originally, and he's lived in Japan for like the last 5 years with his wife. Was a girlfriend, now wife. Very excited. Great photographer, very personable. I appreciate, like, I need direction when posing because like I don't know what to do with my hands. And so he was lovely. He's like, stand like this, move your foot like that, look over your shoulder, give me a sly smile. And I'm like, okay, I can do that. Thank you. But I need like step-by-step instruction. We had the option of wearing our yukatas for the rest of the day, but like literally I was sweating to death. It was a wonderful experience. It was too hot. And again, like Mr. Play said, the shoes were not comfortable on our feet.
If we could have worn our sneakers, I'd have been more.
Agreed, but all of that stuff was back at the shop, and I didn't think about it. So it was nice to change back into normal street clothes and continue our wanderings.
Mm-hmm.
We did go over to Skytree. The line was ridiculously long. Well, for me, it was ridiculously long. So we got up close to, yep, that's the tower.
We got to have yakisoba.
Yeah, but then came back and to the hotel and chilled, and then we're like, okay, time for yakisoba.
Oh, I'm sorry. I was thinking takoyaki.
It's okay.
Sorry. We had takoyaki right after we got our photo shoot before Skytree.
We did.
Because we went back to the temple.
We did a lot.
Guys, it is the temple. The temple's the big orange hanging lantern.
Mm-hmm.
The name of it is escaping me.
I'll look up the name.
So we went there. We got to have takoyaki, which is your squid balls, almost in a pancake-esque batter. That kind of they whoosh around in a nice little semicircle thing until it flips and it becomes this nice little octopus ball, and it's delicious. While we were also at the
Sensoji. That's the name of the temple. SENSO-JI.
Yep, and it's the long O. So you're right. Mm-hmm. Had that. We also got to have the very famous crab on a stick, where they get the Japanese kaiju crab, as I'm going to call it. It's probably just a king crab.
Mm-hmm.
And they put the meat on a stick, and you get to eat it that way, along with some really tasty. I had a Taiwanese lemonade, and you had a kiwi mango fruit drink.
Yeah, and that's all offered just inside the temple gates. There was a bunch of food vendors, and that was delicious. Because by that point it was about lunchtime for us. We're time for more snacks.
Yes,
mm-hmm.
And still very clean. Japan, for the amount of tourists in that area, I think I saw one overflowing trash can.
Yeah,
one.
Mm-hmm.
And Japan is they typically, because you don't walk and eat, so you order your food, you eat your food right there, and then you throw it in the trash can provided for you.
Yeah, the vendor usually takes the trash from you.
And it was absolutely outstanding. The entire place has been very clean, so that's been nice.
Mm-hmm.
So we did that, and then we went back to the hotel. You're right, and chilled for a little bit. And after that, what did we do after that?
I don't remember. I'd have to look at the pictures.
Oh.
I'd created a day-by-day itinerary because it's me, and I like having a game plan, but then we deviated from the game plan, which is totally fine. We saw Shibuya on Friday instead of Sunday, but I didn't rearrange the itinerary, so we both have it up on our phones right now, and we're checking boxes at
Gundam Base.
We did Gundam Base.
Gundam Base. How did I forget that? Oh my god!
Because it's just been so much fun.
So we went back to the hotel for a little bit, and then we caught the train to Gundam Base, which is in a massive mall, and this is where the Unicorn Gundam is, and you can watch the Unicorn Gundam transform.
Yeah, it's the mall's called Diver City. It's 7 stories tall. It's huge, like Mr. Play said. But yeah, around the side of it is the Gundam Unicorn.
And we sat there and we watched it transform.
Mm-hmm. And we got there just in time.
And go into destroy mode.
Mm-hmm.
And then we went into the Gundam base.
Yep.
We had sushi.
Mm-hmm.
Sushi was excellent. And
yeah, the Gundam base was timed entry. So you go up, you get a ticket, and we had 45 minutes to kill until it was our time slot. So we went down a level and had conveyor belt sushi, and it was pretty good. It was solid. Tried a couple of things that they just aren't available in our area back home. And then about 15 minutes before start time, so we had a 6 o'clock timed entry. We went back into the line, and they let us in probably 10 minutes early or so. And Mr. Play was overjoyed.
Yes.
I could see the little kid in you living his best life,
running and buying all. I was I started grabbing boxes. Mrs. Play's oh I'm just going to go grab a basket.
Yeah, he like picking things up.
There was a basket right over there. You
Yeah.
could have just grabbed it when you walked in.
Nope, didn't see basket, only saw Gundam.
There were a couple points where you were taking pictures of me, and you're like right in my face. I just had no...
You had no awareness.
I'm so tunnel visioned. But that was really cool. I got to show off like every generation worth of Gundam to Mrs. Play and be like, that one's from this show, and that one's from this show, and that one's from this little known side comic, and that one's from... And that was really, really fun to be able to do, and Mrs. Play was a really good sport about it. Bought our souvenirs there, and then we ended up walking back out, because starting at like 7 o'clock, the Gundam will pretty much stay transformed throughout the night, but then they will do like a live show.
Yeah, a little mini like 2-minute live show,
and it's a light show. They play different scenes from, I think when we were there, it was Gundam Encounters in Space, which is the third movie based on the original anime manga run, and the lights hit the Unicorn Gundam differently. So at one point it's like turning like almost purple and green, such as the Evangelion 008 model, and turns a couple other colors. They play the opening Gundam theme song, like the Gundamu, like they play the old one where Mrs. plays like, what are we... I am used to some openings, but this is very different.
Yeah.
We watched that, and then we ended up walking back, and we walked along their like riverside boardwalk thingy. Saw the Fuji TV building that looks like a
evil conglomerate.
Like every evil Japanese-based company works there.
Yeah, but you could see Tokyo Tower, you could see Rainbow Bridge, you could see Skytree. It was a beautiful night. The temperatures were finally cooling off. It was really nice. Yeah, I just came. I think we just went back to the hotel afterwards.
Yeah,
it was dark. We don't stay out late. Like I know there's like a whole nightlife scene. Bar hopping and stuff, but I'm like, I am too tired.
We did miss one thing for the Saturday night.
What did we miss?
We had duck ramen. It was our first ramen.
We had duck ramen.
And let me tell you, that was some good ramen.
It was damn good ramen.
I know I got just the basic bowl, but that was...
Yeah, one of my coworkers had ventured up over there and kept hyping up the spot. She's like, I'm going to be dreaming about this ramen for the rest of my life until I can come back. But she shared the name with me, and so Mr. Play and I like ventured over to that part of town, and it was one of those where you like put in your order via machine, and you put in your cash, and then you just like wait in line, and we only had to wait for like 35-40 minutes, which is only 35-40 minutes, but like in Tokyo and some of these more popular places, you could wait for easily an hour or more. So the fact that we got in at under an hour, and we made sure to like stand in line before we were starving, so that way I didn't devolve into a hangry monster. It worked out really well, and it was duck ramen, and it was fantastic.
It was so stellar.
Yeah, 10 out of 10.
I'm a huge fan of duck, and I'm not as big a fan of chicken ramen. So I was a little up there when you were like, it's duck ramen.
You're like, you were quiet. I was like,
But the it still has that umami bomb of duck, where it's just a little bit greasier and fattier.
In a wonderful way.
Yeah.
In a flavorful way.
And the best part was, even though it's not like it wasn't a huge portion, I was eating hot soup in the middle of summer, walked out of there, didn't feel like I just ate hot soup in the summer. It was it was so savory and delicious.
And the shop was located directly below some train tracks.
Oh yeah.
And so as a train would go over, everything would like rumble a little bit. I'm like, this is the experience that I wanted.
Yeah. So yeah, we did that, and that was actually the end of our Friday night. And spectacular, fantastic ramen. Today is our last full day here in Tokyo. So we'll probably get ramen one more time because we've had sushi twice. Yeah, and then now that puts us to Sunday, right? Yep, okay. Sunday.
Yeah. We went to High Shrine, HIE. It's one of the few shrines in Tokyo that has red torii gates. Since I was here since July 5th, I took a weekend trip to Kyoto. We can talk about that at a different time, but I saw plenty of Red Torii Gates, and Mr. Play wanted to see Red Torii Gates as well, so I took him to High Shrine. From there, we hopped on the train and went to Meiji Shrine, which is like one of the other really big, popular ones in Tokyo. Taught Mr. Play how to wash his hands in his mouth, like cleanse thyself before going into the shrine to pray.
Yep.
I was teaching you the norms, and you were very excited and enthusiastic to participate.
Went up, I got to wash my hands, you're right, and I got to do, like, what would you say? It's clean hands, clean mouth, or clean...
Clean actions, clean words.
Clean actions, thank you.
Yeah.
Clean actions, clean words, and that was... Mrs. Play was just like, yeah, let me show you how to do this, and she's like, there's no ladle for this one.
YouTube taught me.
And then it was, she's like, you go in, you bow at the Torii Gate before you go in, you walk on the sides of the Torii Gate.
Don't walk through the center.
Yeah, not beside, but like, if you're going through the middle of it, closest you get to the poles, the pylons, the support beams. So, because you're not a spirit or god yet.
Yep, the deities walk down the center.
So that was really cool, and it's an active, like, it is a tourist attraction.
Yes, but it is also
an active shrine. And the people who maintain it ain't messing around.
Yeah,
like, do not sit there on that stoop. There are benches over there for you.
Yeah.
Share the benches like good people. I bought some talismans there.
Yep.
I got a lucky bag, and I got a bag for lucky talisman, and then one for strength and opening. And I got to learn how to, like, properly pray at a Shinto shrine. Which was really surreal. You and I got to see the marriage trees.
We did get to see the marriage trees.
They're two really old trees in the main courtyard of the Meiji Shrine that have been there for like 180 years. And they're trees that grow together, and then they tie the talismans across them. It's one of those, like, really, like, mushy kind of stories that just totally gets to me. And that was, I really enjoyed going there.
I know you did. And then from there, we took a train down to Shinjuku, because there were a couple places that I wanted to hit up. Shinjuku is, like, great for nightlife, and once again, we're going during the middle of the day. Like, it was barely even lunchtime. And once again, I don't stay out late, so, like, we'll just hit it up during the day. And as we were wandering, go ahead, take it away.
I saw the arch, the red lit up arch. That is the start of every Yakuza game. And I was like, this is play, that's Pikachu, that's Kamurocho, that is the red light.
It's like 96 degrees outside, and he's like, I have goosebumps.
So it was like, we're going that way, and Mrs. Play was like, okay, we're going that way, and then we'll find Godzilla, but we're going that way. And I proceeded to walk you up Kubikacho, which is it is now an entertainment district. However, way back in the day, it was the red light district, and it still holds a lot of its red light district
qualities.
Charms. So I was walking you up the streets, and I was like, that's where Serena would be, which is like your main base and the bar that you hang out from 0, 1, and 2. Over there is where Stardust would be, and that's a host club. And I just kept walking you, and we walked every block of the Yakuza games that take place in that portion of what would be Kamurocho in the games. I took you to where Millennium Tower is. We went to the square where, like, the Club Sega used to be. It was really awesome because while not a 1-for-1 recreation, I was like, oh, you see those two restaurants there? They are this one restaurant in the game. Yeah. It would be one of those doors would be there, and it was so surreal to walk up and down those streets. And the fact that I was just able to go, Miss Play, we're going here, and then this is where we are. And then if we circle back this way, we'll be back on the main drag. And you compared it to people who played either Assassin's Creed 2 or Assassin's Creed Brotherhood, where they're in Rome. And they can navigate Rome like the back of their hands.
Or Florence, yeah. Like, this is where they jumped off from this church. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
It was very much like that. Mm-hmm. And then in our wanderings, we saw Godzilla, because turns out Godzilla was there.
Yeah, Godzilla peeks out from top of, I don't know if it was like a hotel or the theater.
I think it was the theater.
Yeah, I don't know what that building was, but the whole reason why I wanted to go to Shinjuku is just be like, look, a picture of Godzilla, and just, be quick touristy things, knowing that we would be in the vicinity that Mr. Play was interested in. So that just like turned out extra happy convenient planning on my part. But from there, we wandered like an extra 4 minutes and went over to Golden Guy, which is a couple of alleys collection for additional like bars and nightlife. A couple places were already open. Didn't wander inside. I'm like, I don't want to drink yet. I want food and I want cold, but I don't want a beer yet. There were rules posted of like, this is private property. Don't be loud. Don't block the flow of traffic. No crazy loud music. No smoking. If you can't follow these rules, don't be here. So it's definitely like, you can come here, but you gotta act right. So I had a lot of fun just like wandering up and down those alleys. I'd seen plenty of pictures on like Instagram and Pinterest and stuff like that. So it was cool just to see it for myself. Hardly saw anyone else in that area. Again, it was like lunchtime. But from there, we wandered over to a small temple. I'd have to look up the name because it wasn't initially on my itinerary, but I just looked around. I'm like, oh, hey, look, another shrine. Let's go visit. So wandered over there, and at the entrance of the temple was, I kind of want to call it like a small flea market.
Closest thing I could, like, not street vendors, but definitely flea market feels.
Yeah. It wasn't a yard sale, but it was in that vein. I'm going to call it, flea market. So lots of really cool pottery, tapestries, kimonos, yukatas, prints of famous works, samurai swords, and like, if I thought I could fit that in my luggage.
A lot of katanas, obitos.
Masks.
A couple masks, yep.
So.
And then we found our boy.
Go ahead.
His name... That's my alarm. We need to wake up now.
Time to wake up.
His name is BFT. He is what is known as a foo dog. He is a lion that was inspired from Chinese mythology and statues, adopted by Japan. They typically come in pairs. You get a male and female lion, and they are the guardians of... They are the guardians of your house. They were commissioned to be like guardians of temples. If you guys remember Yakuza 4, Kiryu is trying to find a matching lion statue for one of the people around Osaka. And so, he's trying to find it for somebody down, in Okinawa. So we found one. We found a male lion, which... Mrs. Play, like, we saw a couple, and they had some paintings on them, and they looked...
They were porcelain, they're ceramic.
They looked cool, but Mrs. Play was like, not screaming like, this is the one.
Yeah, we both agreed that we wanted a statue of some sort. Initially, we were thinking like, oh, we'll get a fox, but none of the fox ones are really speaking to us. I'm like, well, maybe we'll expand the category to like dog, lion, dragon, something. But the agreement was that we both had to be like this one. And so Mr. Play was liking some of the ceramic lions, but they didn't scream, bring me home. Go ahead. I'm sorry.
No. So we saw this gorgeous, he is like a maroon, crimson, deep, rich, like almost red oak colored lion. And Mrs. Play picked him up, and
we're both looking at each other like, I like him. Do you like him? I think I like him. I really like him. Do you like him? I kind of want to bring him home. How much is he?
He is, at this place, like, wow, this is a murder weapon. This is blunt force trauma right here because
he's heavy.
He is heavy. So his name now is BFT for blunt force trauma until a better name,
arises.
But, he will protect this house.
Mm-hmm.
That's how it kind of feels.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he is gorgeous. We are going to be in search of a mate, which means I need to familiarize myself with a female food dog.
Mm-hmm.
So we can find him a suitable mate. And then, yeah, he was just a really awesome find.
Yeah.
Right outside the temple gate, or right outside temple proper, before the temple gates.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, we picked him up, and then went back to the hotel because.
But then we were carrying a bunch of souvenirs.
We were carrying a lot of souvenirs, and he was quite heavy.
Yeah.
So yeah, we did that, and
the original plan was to decompress at the hotel room. Like, oh, we'll rinse off, we'll decompress. We were going to a mocktail bar later that night. I'd made reservations. I knew that they offered food there. So I'm like, we'll just decompress. But it's me, and I can't just sit still. That's a challenge. And so I was looking up food places in and around the mocktail bar, and I found a soba restaurant. Soba is a buckwheat noodle, and this particular establishment had been in operation for over 100 years. So it's an institution. I had 4.5 stars out of 2,000 reviews, and I'm like, we're going here. So I looked at Mr. Play, and I'm like, I know we said decompress, but what if we just did a quick rinse and put on nice dinner clothes and went and got soba noodles?
And they were delicious.
And we
got our soba with duck. Well, we got a lot of duck on this trip.
We had a lot of duck.
Yeah, we've had a lot of duck on this trip. Which was really cool because the soba comes out. One, the place offered you Western style seating, I'm going to call it, or you could sit on tatami. Mrs. Play was very kind to me on my knees, and knowing that it would take me a moment to get up if we sat on tatami. So we instead sat at Western. You got to have soba noodles in this very rich umami-filled dipping sauce. And then at the very end, they bring you out some starchy water that they cook the soba noodles in to dilute the sauce because she's strong.
Yeah, you shouldn't just sip that by itself. It's a little intense.
It turns it into a shoyu-esque style broth, and you get to finish that way.
Yeah, slurp it like a soup. It was delicious.
And then my personal favorite part was walking to the soba place. And it's still a very big section, you're in Tokyo City proper, but on our left was this tiny little Shinto shrine. It was gorgeous. It had 2 kitsune in it, and actively taken care of by the community. Watched a gentleman walk right up in to use it and pray, but it was so serene. It was so peaceful. In between these 2 skyscrapers was this tiny little shrine that is clearly well loved by the community and well maintained, and it just touched me right here.
And the feels.
And then after that, we walked over to so I went there and prayed and did the whole ritual thing because I learned something new, and that's kind of how I am. And after that, we walked over to we walked over to the mocktail bar and had very delicious non-alcoholic beverages.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I was missing out on the alcohol at all. Everything was created with the same level of craftsmanship as I would get at a nice bar.
Yeah.
They're literally carving the ice in front of us. I'm like, that's fancy. Absolutely enjoyed that. They had an English menu, and between our Google Translate for Japanese and learning the right words and pointing, we were able to have a really lovely experience. And the bartenders were super friendly and offered us recommendations when we asked, and then just absolutely left us to our own business. Yeah, thoroughly enjoyed it. Would go again. I was telling Mr. Play, if we had one of these in our town back home, I would have no money.
It's one of those guys. It's for people that do not speak the language very well. I use Rocket Japanese, which is a great learning tool. However, not using it every day, I lose a lot of the nuances, and it's very hard for me to do full conversational that's not spoken like, oh, we're going to sit here and, practice as if though we were going through Japanese 101, 102, things like that.
Mm-hmm.
There's a term for please, which is onegai shimasu. And
onegai shimasu.
If you're like, I want something on the menu, and the menu's in Japanese, and you don't want to like pull out Google Translate and wait for that, you can look at a picture and go, that picture looks good, and you point on it and go, onegai shimasu, and they will go, hi, and there you go. Like, you have now ordered food in Japanese, and everyone is very kind. If you are, like, I would constantly like, ganbatte, ganbatte.
Mm-hmm. We're trying.
I'm trying.
Sorry, and we're trying.
Yeah, gomen, sumimasen, ganbatte.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the words I have lived by. But everyone has been so kind. I've used enough anime weeb Japanese, and they've used enough broken English for us to come together and grant us some really tasty meals.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, that was fantastic.
Yeah.
And then the next day, and then the next day, which was yesterday.
Well, you also forgot we went to the Pokemon Center.
Oh, we did go to the Pokemon Center
as well.
Yes,
in like the Ginza area.
We went to like the Pokemon Center.
What did you find?
I found a Cyndaquil
plushie.
Yeah. He's adorable. I found a side up for somebody else. And everyone else, y'all, some basic people wanting your Growlithe and Arcanine.
Growlithe and Arcanine were sold out.
Fucking hard. You couldn't find it anywhere.
Yep.
We went to 3 different Pokemon centers. You know what they didn't have? Growlithe or Arcanine.
Mm-hmm.
The main one had Cyndaquil, so
nope. Had a good time there.
Love that Cyndaquil.
Okay, now you can go.
Oh, now we can go into the next day, the big day.
Sunday. Monday. Was Monday.
Mrs. Play got me tickets to Gundam Factory Yokohama. So we got to go into the Gundam Factory, which was cool, because that's where the giant walking Gundam is. And then she bought tickets so we could go up on the support structures and the docking bay.
Yeah, we went to the docking tower
of the giant Gundam. So we stood next to him and got pictures of his hands and his torso and his head. And then his head turns and looks at you partway through it because it's I don't know if it's animatronic, but it moves. It's programmed. It is a giant robot that can take steps and kneel and do all of the things. And it is so cool. And Mrs. Play went up there and took all the pictures.
Yep, but I'm like, stand there, turn around, smile at me.
Pretend to be happy. And I was
very bossy. I'm like,
just beaming from ear to ear. What are we doing? Okay, we're here.
you were so in the moment. And I'm like, no, you're gonna want pictures of this afterwards. So I need you to turn around. I need you to smile.
I had a ton of pictures, which was really cool. The other thing that they do, which is a surprise for anyone else going, if you guys listen to this, they did probably, other than seeing, of course, a giant walking Gundam, but my other favorite part was they were constantly spraying down the blacktop to help keep it cool, because it's like a paved warehouse at the end of a pier. Yeah. And it's outdoors, but it's like
there's not a lot of shade opportunities.
And they were spraying the blacktop, but this kind lady who worked there was like, hey, and she came on, it sounded like huddle, 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 and she's beckoning to us.
I was like, oh, we have to huddle up somewhere.
To come over to a corner on the opposite end of where the Gundam is. And guys, it's 5 feet. It's like opposite end, but 5 feet. And she's like pointing down, and they were drawing with a hose on the blacktop. And the first one was a Haru, and she's like, Amado, Amado. And it was just one of those things, it's a Haru. And she was so excited when we finally noticed what it was.
When we figured it out.
And I was like, that is so awesome. And then they drew the profile of the Gundam, like the Gundam head up there. And that was really cool. And she's like, okay, they did a good job with that one. Like, she's like criticizing their work. But it was gorgeous. Everyone was as friendly as could be. People would be like, oh, you're East Coast. And I was like, I didn't know you would know that. But yeah, it was cool. And then you get to go to the factory museum area where they tell you about all the head engineers that helped design it. They interview the creator of the show. They interview Amuro and Char, and the guy who is working for a company, quits his job to go see if he can make a giant Gundam walk. And yeah, it is. On the way out, they tell you it's a passion project for some old men who grew up watching Gundam, where they're like, Gundam made me want to be an engineer to actually build one of these. And some people might be like, oh, this is really all it is, but they're like, this is the limitations of where we were at. I hope someone comes here and sees this, is inspired, and they do what we wish we could have done.
Yeah,
and
they figure it out.
It was a huge hope for the future, and just very touching. And Gundam's been around for 40 plus years, and we're now
since
Gundam Beyond
78.
Yeah,
it's been a minute.
So it was very inspiring to see that. I really enjoyed it. That was a really thank you very much.
You're welcome.
That was that might be the highlight of the trip.
I understand.
And then after that we came to the lovely onsen this is not the onsen. We're in the hotel room, I guess would be the best way to put it, with a private onsen underneath.
Do you want me to try?
Yeah, please.
Okay. We also went to Gundam Cafe real quick, and then over to Chinatown, which was right next door, in quotes, like a 13-minute walk. We went to the largest Chinatown in Tokyo, and ordered Chinese in Japanese. It was delicious. And then
Mopu tofu.
Yeah, as Mr. Play said, we came. So the town is called Hakone. As I was talking about earlier, we took a bullet train, rode it for all of 15 minutes from Shin Yokohama Station to Arawara. I'm sorry for my pronunciations, you guys. Again, all of 15 minutes. If we didn't take the bullet train to go from Hakone to Shin Yokohama, would be about 2.5 hours. So bullet train is best. And then from Arawara, we took a taxi to get to Hakone. So that was 35 minutes. And we are at Hakone Retreat Villa. So they have these personalized cabins for people, and you can walk 3 minutes down the road and have a delicious traditional Japanese breakfast and dinner, or if you want a French breakfast and dinner, that's a 6-minute walk away. I've never been treated so well. This is a phenomenal top tier service experience. We're of course greeted at the car door. We don't have to lift our bags. Here, get in this golf cart and ride the 2 minutes up the road to your private cabin. It has a gorgeous living space with a wood burning stove for in the winter. We're surrounded by a cedar tree and bamboo. Very small kitchenette. Giant bed, and that's on the ground floor, and in the basement level is the onsen, so it's the private hot spring, and that's also where your shower and bathroom is, so you can rinse off, and everything's just centrally located. It's so peaceful, it's so quiet. So even though we're there are other cabins around us, each view is very private. It's wonderful. As soon as we were all checked in and the guy left, we're all right, into that hot spring.
Take a quick shower and hot spring.
Yeah. It was so relaxing.
97 degrees, don't care.
Yeah, it's probably, it's hot as hell outside, but inside, it felt really nice. And there's windows down there, so you can still look out and feel like you're close to nature. The windows open, and there are screens, so you're sounds of nature, but no bugs. Enjoyed our very first kaiseki dinner. Kaiseki is a traditional Japanese multi-course meal. It starts with a cold tofu appetizer. You get sushi, you get hot soup. I'm not going in perfect order. You get a fried fish, your main course, a rice dish, and dessert. I did a sake pairing. Mr. Play had shiso?
I had shiso, which is a local
plant
that is grown this time of year, and it is this very rich burgundy colored drink.
Mm-hmm. Non-alcoholic. Delicious.
Yes.
Kind of smells like Christmas. Tastes a little tart.
Kind of comes a little bit sweet, goes tart, and kind of reminds you like you're drinking a vegetable of some sort, but not in an unpleasant way.
Yeah.
And then I switched over to Shonen cider, which is also almost everything here that I think that we've had has been 100% like locally sourced from the Hakone region. Mm-hmm. So this was a citrus that is technically related to the orange. However, if you were to look at it, it looks like a lemon, and if you peel it, you'd expect to bite into it and get like that sour lemon, but instead you get a very sweet citrus burst there, and cider made me think apple, but it was this absolutely fantastic sparkling drink that was also non-alcoholic, but like I said, native to the region, and that was really cool.
Yeah,
I enjoyed that.
I'm glad you enjoyed it. Yeah, it was delicious. We were in a private dining room space for the kaiseki. Like, I didn't know what to expect, you guys, but like, you come in, you take off your shoes, put on these slippers. When you get to like your particular dining room, because we were wearing socks, you take off the slippers and you're sitting like you're on tatami. Again, a Western table with the tatami and a gorgeous view of trees and mossy rocks. You guys, I love a mossy rock. I was taking pictures. Mr. Play was trying to live in the moment. I'm like, no, I need to remember this for always. Absolutely phenomenal. And we dined over the course of about 2 hours. And then we were very kindly hopped in the golf cart and driven back to our space. Like, I was perfectly fine to like use my phone as a flashlight and navigate, but they're like, no.
It's dark.
It's dark. Get in. I'm like,
yeah.
All right. And then it was onsen part 2 because you gotta.
Yeah. And then after that, like, had the onsen. We were both like tired. Watched like 20 minutes worth of YouTube videos and easily asleep inside the hour.
Yeah, like it was probably 10, 11 o'clock by the time we actually went to bed and stuff. There's no TV. You're just here to enjoy music, vibe, and live your best life. But yeah, slept so well. And the whole point of bringing our podcast equipment out here was to record on site while we're in Japan. So that's what we're doing now.
Yep, it was like the last thing on my list to get done while we were sitting here.
This was phenomenal. We've enjoyed our coffee.
Do you want another one, by the way?
I would love another coffee. Okay. So we'll do that next. And within the hour, we'll have our breakfast. Traditional Japanese breakfast, because Japan. Might wander around. There's a small bakery near the French restaurant. So I'd like to check that out. There's also public hot springs available. But Mr. Play and I are tattooed heathens, so to avoid potentially offending locals, we just opted for the private onsen. Yeah, today's our last full day. Like Mr. Play said, we'll head back to Tokyo and hit up some last minute shops that I'm still holding out on. They were closed on Sunday, so hoping to knock that out today. And then, yeah, tomorrow morning we'll be in the air heading back to the States.
It's been a great trip. I'm glad to have done it with you.
I'm thrilled to have done it with you. Like, 10-year wedding anniversary. Like, this is phenomenal. We were poor 10 years ago. Never would have... Like, I'd always wanted to come to Japan. It
would have been the most budget of budget trips.
I didn't even dare to really dream and hope for it. It would have been like, yeah, that'd be nice someday. Would love to go. And then to actually have the opportunity. Our 10-year wedding anniversary was in June, but since we secured this trip to Japan, we didn't really do anything to celebrate. So to be here with you is a dream come true. Yeah. Love you.
Love you too.
Thanks for listening in, winners.
Yeah, thank you guys so much for joining us. I will post as much as physically possible in the description of this below. All the things that we went to see and did. I guess the biggest takeaway here, that if you could get anything out of this podcast, aside from like, hey, we really like Japan is incredibly friendly to travel to. It will feel daunting and overwhelming at first, but after probably your second day, it becomes very easy. Everyone can speak enough English to get the gist across to you.
Yeah, and pointing in hand signs and just be polite.
And and everyone has been very kind to us so far, and we do greatly appreciate that.
It's a beautiful country. I want to live here.
We can look into it.
Okay.
But yeah, as always, please don't forget to follow us on YouTube. Please drop a like, any rating for the podcast if you guys enjoyed this. I know the podcast has been on a bit of a hiatus,
but we're back now.
The plan is to be back. Traveling for work should be a lot less, so I'm hoping to have a solid podcast for the remainder of the year coming out for us as we venture in to do new things. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and now Threads. We are posting there as well, along with subscribing to the YouTube channel, and follow us on Twitch if you want to see some of our streaming content. But yeah, once again, thank you all so much for being here. You remember, you're all winners out there. Keep it weird, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.